What's going on, Broncos Country? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with a bit of a different show. I know it's game week. We're all excited to watch Monday Night Football, and we'll do a preview. We'll kind of break down the X's and O's, but a very big, in my opinion, bombshell article dropped, kind of highlighting and putting some insight on the Russel Wilson trade saga and how everything went down to get Russel Wilson from the Pacific Northwest to Mile High. So we're going to comb through this ESPN article, take some key excerpts out of it, and break it down and provide some key takeaways for you guys watching at home. So it all started with the ESPN beat reporter for the Seattle Seahawks, Brady Henderson. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in the entire trade saga, going ahead and reading this article like I did, because there is a lot more to the story than just Russell Wilson wanted a fresh, clean slate somewhere else, and he wanted to get Sierra out of the rain. Now, if you don't remember, here were the exact trade details between the Broncos and the Seahawks that sent Russell Wilson to Denver in exchange for 3 players, 2 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round picks, and a little bit more. Now, I had a lot of takeaways from this article, but I think the biggest takeaway I have moving forward for the Broncos is it is protect Russell Wilson at all costs. This was the biggest reason why a wrench was put in between Russell Wilson, John Schneider, and a little bit of Pete Carroll too. All right, here's what Brady Henderson said in his article. During Wilson's 10 seasons with the Seahawks, they ranked last in the NFL by a wide margin in pressure rate, which means the percentage of offensive dropbacks in which a quarterback is sacked, hit, or put under duress. They fared better in recent seasons in ESPN's pass blocking win rate, which measures how often blocks are sustained for at least 2.5 seconds. Since ESPN began tracking the stat in 2017, Seattle has finished as high as 3rd in 2018 and as low as 28th in 2019. This is not new information necessarily that Russell Wilson did not enjoy being one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. And he put some pressure on the front office in Seattle going, what are you guys going to do to fix this, right? I am tired of finishing top 5 in the most sacks every single season. And I'm not seeing much change on this front, okay? Here's what I'm talking about from Brady Henderson. Over Wilson's first 3 seasons, while he was playing on his rookie contract, the Seahawks ranked between 4th and 9th in percentage of cap dollars spent on their offensive line, according to roster management system. In the 7 seasons since he signed his first megadeal in 2015, they've ranked in the top 20 once and were among the bottom 3 teams. Now, here's sort of the hiccup. The Broncos are not rolling out a red carpet of an offensive line for Russell Wilson. They could only fix so many problems this offseason, only plug so many holes, the biggest one being the quarterback position. But just look at the 2021 Pro Football Focus ranks for the 5 projected starters for the Broncos this season. The highest was Lloyd Cushenberry at 21. If you told me that Lloyd Cushenberry was the best offensive lineman for this team last season, or Garrett Bowles, that's not really showing a ton of confidence. I think Garrett Bowles is probably in the 2nd tier of tackles. I don't think he's an absolute cornerstone franchise piece, right, like a Trent Williams. But all in all, look around the room here. Dalton Risner, doesn't it feel like this is more likely to be his last season than to get a contract extension after his rookie deal is up? Cushenberry, I think, is going to benefit a lot from this scheme change that allows for more speed and more getting to the second level. But Miners is going to be essentially a rookie in terms of the starting snaps he's going to get. He got some time last year. And then Billy Turner is coming off a serious knee injury. Overall, 2023 offseason priority number 1, has to be to take care of the offensive line. The Broncos do not pick until round 3, and I'm suspecting their first draft pick is going to be the best offensive lineman on the board here. Because if they are going to learn anything from what Seattle's mistakes were in terms of letting Russell Wilson go, it was we did not do a good enough job securing the Hogs up front. Now, while we talk about Seattle here, Week 1 right around the corner, and you guys know we have been in a sub-battle this week with our Seahawks Today channel here at Chat Sports. I don't want to only beat them at Lumen Field. I want to beat the Seahawks here inside the walls of Chat Sports. So help me do that by clicking that subscribe button. We've got a bit of a healthy lead on them. I don't want any, second half magic here. No, not going to happen from Geno Smith. Not going to happen from Tyler Jones. Hit that sub button and let's ride. All right, second key takeaway from this bombshell article. The Seahawks went somewhat sour on Russell Wilson. Maybe you and like myself sort of assumed, hey, once this trade went down, it was 100% manufactured and forced and pushed by Russell Wilson. He had a no-trade clause after all. Why would the Seahawks want to move on from the best quarterback in their franchise history? This might be why. Here's what Brady said. By this point, some within the Seahawks believed Wilson's best days were behind him. Their concern wasn't with the finger injury that had sidelined him for 3 weeks in 2021. Some believed Wilson's escapability, one of the traits that made him an elite quarterback worthy of elite money, was waning. He's not as mobile as he used to be, said one source in the Seahawks front office. Now, I think there is a little bit of truth to that, right? Russell Wilson is a magician, right? An escape artist. He finds ways to make something out of nothing, but I don't think that's going to absolutely just deteriorate over the next few seasons. No, Russell Wilson is an escape artist because he is one of the most brilliant pocket readers, right? He knows when it's collapsing, and he knows where to flood out to. That part of his game isn't going to go away with his legs. That's all up here. Now, a former Seahawks quarterback who does Seahawks sports radio in Seattle had this to say not long before the trade. It's going to get more and more difficult for him to create and do what he used to do. I do think that that's going to be harder. Is that going to hit in 2022? Probably not. I think this will likely be one of his best years for the Broncos. But will he slow down in 23, 24, 25? Yes. The guys that have endured and changed the threshold and played into their 40s, Brady, Breeze, they played a different game than Russell plays. They play a game totally from the pocket and have done that the entirety of their career. That's not necessarily Russell's game. And I somewhat agree with this statement here. I'm not going to argue and act like Russell Wilson is purely a pocket passer and that there might not be some concerns with age maybe catching up to him. How will that impact his game? But let's not pretend like Russell Wilson doesn't have the absolute best moon ball in the NFL. His ability to just drop a teardrop over a defender right into the breadbasket is not going to waver. That's not going to disappear. Yes, there will be aspects of his game that change as he gets older. But if there is one quarterback who is prepared to put in the work to do that, it is Russell Wilson. The guy last year, rehabbing from a finger injury, said he would spend 19, 20 hours rehabbing. How? I'll never really know. That's just Russell Wilson. But if someone's going to look to overcome the difficulties of father time, it would be Russell Wilson. That's why we come to point number 3. I am not concerned. I am not concerned from this article that let's call it what it is from a Seahawks lens that is trying to maybe downplay the reason why they moved on from Russell Wilson, maybe to appease the nest as they get ready to watch Geno Smith and Drew Lock play a season, right? To make the fan base feel a little bit better about why they moved on from Russell Wilson. I think that's where this article is coming from mostly. Not saying it's fabrication, not saying it is false. I think there are a lot of true things about this article. I think the article did a great job highlighting a big bulk of the story. But at the end of the day, of course, the front office that moved on from Russell Wilson is going to speak to the media anonymously and try and pipe up their side of the trade so that they don't get fired. So if you believe in Russell Wilson, type 3 down in the comments section below. Let's just show the new man in Denver that Broncos Country has his back. And as always, Broncos Country let's ride. You got to love the corniness. All right, here we go. Fourth takeaway here, bonus takeaway. It was always Denver. If Russell Wilson was going to get traded from Seattle, he really only had one place in mind, okay? And the Seahawks knew this. They actually used it to their advantage. Allow me to share. The Seahawks received calls from the Broncos and several other teams, including the Saints, New York Giants, and Washington Commanders. They knew Wilson wanted Denver, according to a front office source, but kept New Orleans involved in the bidding, so the Broncos would have to compete against another offer. Schneider later apologized to the Saints and other teams who had called, having told them they weren't trading Wilson. Denver was Wilson's only option and Schneider's preferred choice because Drew Lock was the quarterback Schneider wanted in return. Schneider met with Broncos GM George Payton at the Senior Bowl in early February and again at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis a month later. Okay, Drew Lock was potentially an X factor in all of this to get Russell Wilson to Denver because that's who Seattle wanted, who they're not even starting week one. The guy who got beat out by Geno Smith, a mediocre at best backup. Now, a lot of key details are in this article. And again, I invite you to go and read it yourself. But the fact that Drew Lock was someone that the Seahawks had big hard eyes for and aren't even starting in the first week of the season, yikes. All right, that is going to do it for us on today's show. I appreciate all of you guys for making us a part of your day, tuning in. Drop a let's ride down in the comments section if you made it to the end of today's video.